Let's talk about dogs. And let's talk about people. Now, how would you guys feel if I pointed out the obvious here? How would you guys feel if I told you that you might look like your dog and your dog might look like you? Might be a tough thing for you to get behind, right? Well, if you stay with me for a bit longer, I can tell you the exact science and psychology behind this strange phenomenon. I might even be able to reveal something about you that you hadn't considered. I want to tell you a story about a scientist by the name of Sadahiko Nakajima. Sadahiko studied why our dogs look like us. Notice I said why, not if. He did not ask if our dogs looked like us, he asked why they did. In fact, he was so convinced that he wrote an entire paper in the multidisciplinary journal called Anthrozoos. Here he shared the shocking results of his studies. So he began by pulling 502 students from his university. He went and found 20 dog-human pairs, photographed them separately against a white backdrop, printed the photos, and scrambled the now 40 pictures up. From here, he made some real and some false pairs, and the task was simple. He asked his participants which pairs were real and which were not. And guess what? The participants were able to find the real-life pairs 80% of the time. Think about that. Luck and chance alone would have been 50%. But these people were calling it correctly 80% of the time. But he wasn't done there. So next, he created 4 different obstruction masks. So basically, he placed a simple line over different parts of the face in the hopes that the new data he would collect could show what parts of the face are the most important for us when we're connecting dogs to their owners. Some participants were shown the pair with the human eye mask, B. Some were shown the pair with the human mouth mask, as shown in C. D is our dog eye mask, and E simply shows the eyes of the dog and the eyes of the owner. So as you'll remember, figure A had an 80% accuracy. Now participants were shown C were still impressively high at 73%. However, those who were only shown B or D, though, had a significant fall, being only slightly above the percentage had they simply been guessing. Surprisingly enough, though, the statistic of accuracy for those who were only shown the eyes of the dog and the eyes of the owner in case E shot back up to 76%. So this just proves that the similarities lies in the eyes. Some say it has something to do with the eyes being the window to the soul. Some don't buy that. What Sadahiko finally determined, however, was that we as humans have had such close relations with dogs throughout history that we have developed a superhuman, or at least subconscious, ability to extract meaningful psychological cues from the eyes. It makes sense, though, being man's best friend and all, though, right? Their stories are in their eyes, just like people say ours are in ours. Find the same stories and you will find the pair. Cool, so science proves this theory, but what does this mean for us psychologically? Well, it isn't that we go out and search for dogs that look like us. In fact, it's all rooted in our subconscious, and when carefully examined, can say a lot about how we view ourselves. So the bad news is that we're all a little bit narcissistic. We might be choosing dogs that resemble us because we have a preference for the familiar, but even more than that, we're looking for valued features. In a study done at the University of British Columbia, 104 women were asked to rate 4 breeds of dogs simply on how much they liked the look of the dog, how intelligent they believed that dog to be, and how loyal they thought that that dog could be. Afterwards, they were asked simple questions about their life and shown pictures of hairstyles, asking which they wore the most often. The results showed that women with longer hair covering their ears tended to prefer the Beagle or the Springer Spaniel. Additionally, they rated these dogs that arguably resembled them as the more likable, loyal, and intelligent dogs of the group. On the contrary, women with shorter hair who had visible ears rated the Siberian Huskies and Basenjis much higher. These women valued their own features and thus were much more likely to find the dogs that were similar to them likable. Okay, but the good news is that we can use this information to learn so much about the people around us. The choice of dog is not only telling us about what they value in themselves physically, but it can tell us what they value about their personality as well. So take a look at these dogs. Can you basically see the owners in your head already? Well, a recent study done on spontaneous trait transference shows how we are able to look at a dog in our head and then imagine the owner. Were you guys kind of close? Volunteers were shown images of dogs like loyal labs or spoiled poodles and asked to describe the probable owners. These alleged owners were all then perceived as possessing the typical traits associated with the dog breed that they were paired with. So if we like to live a healthy lifestyle, we choose active dogs, known for their health. And if we find ourselves more timid, we might choose a shyer breed. What this ultimately shows, though, is that we all put something out into the world with the hopes that it will reflect back on us. So right from the beginning, we tend to select dogs that we perceive to be similar to ourselves. In some cases, we just want to see things that we like about ourselves projected back at us every day, like our hair. Sometimes we want to look into the eyes of our dog and know that there's a similar story. And sometimes we're just trying to reflect our ideal personality to the world. We want the world to look at our dog and know who we are. Whatever the case, I now challenge you to go out into the world and keep an eye out for these strange pairs. Take a moment to see that even if you look for only a minute, you too can learn more about the world and the people around you.